Hey, and welcome back to my next episode of the Big Gay Overalls podcast, episode 6. Thank you to everyone that has shown their support so far by following or subscribing or liking or commenting. I really, really appreciate it. The kindness in the comments that people have expressed has been amazing. I've had a couple of people reach out that they're keen to jump on as a guest and talk through their own story, which I think is incredibly powerful, and I'm incredibly thankful and grateful for that. Last week's episode that I did brought my lovely wife Sharon on. She had a great time, and definitely we want to do another joint episode down the track. She's never been on a podcast before and she loved it. So win-win. Happy wife, happy life. So that was good. Today might be a fairly quick episode. It was just something that was rumbling in my brain after some experiences this week that I thought I just get on and do a little bit of a brain dump. I haven't really fleshed out any thoughts on this. I haven't really dug into it, but it's just the stuff that's been pinging around in my brain this week. So it started on yesterday, day before, 2 days ago, Tuesday. On Tuesday, I had a rather unfortunate incident at a barber shop on Saturday. I think I got my hair cut, and it turns out, here's a tip for new players: the clipper guide that you use at home may be very different to what they use at the hairdressers. Sharon normally cuts my hair, and I was going in to get the back and sides done. I said, I may as well get them to run over the top. And I said to her, what do we normally use? She goes, a 4. I said, great. Went in, sat down very confidently, asked for the 4. And within a couple of run-throughs over my head, I very quickly realized that that's a different number 4. So it's a lot shorter than I would prefer. Everyone who's seen it said it looks fine and it looks good. But I prefer it just a little bit longer. So I won't need to cut it for a while. But of course I have to go and visit mum, and she's made no comment about, the shave sort of back and sides. But I know that this would be just way too noticeable. So I rock up in a beanie, and luckily it's still kind of mild weather here, so I can get away with the beanie. But I was sitting at the front of the house while I was waiting for a guy to come and put a windscreen in my truck. And I was thinking, I'm almost 50 years old and I'm still worried about what my mother says. And she has this amazing knack, as I think most mothers do, of making us feel 5 at certain times. So, yeah, I was sitting there and pondering that, going, you're nearly 50 and you still give a shit. And then I started thinking about what other things I'm, unsettled with. And versus the term unsettled, what I've landed on is afraid of. And some of that is like when I go out with Sharon and, we hold hands when we're out, but I still have that momentary gut check, like, what if someone says something, or what if someone, looks at us funny or whatever. And it's a little bit irrational because, like, I don't know them and they have no reason to judge me. I'm sure people do, and I still do what I do. Like, we'll walk down the street holding hands, no big deal. But I just still have that momentary, is someone going to say something? Is someone going to be offended almost by my existence, which is a weird way to look at it. And even sort of, so within my own tribe, so my own circle and my own friends and family that we choose to share our lives with, like, we're completely ourselves. It doesn't even enter my mind. But then as the circles get wider, it still enters, my mind. Like, I'm very mindful of things, and like, I haven't, promoted this podcast widely, and I've got no reason to promote it. I'm not doing it to grow a business. This is just me documenting me navigating through my identity and my life. But, I still worry about, like, if someone sees the podcast and thinks differently of me, or, I worry about issues coming from me speaking honestly, creating issues with my ex-husband and I. Now, we have an incredibly good relationship, and I don't want that to be damaged by me being uh, unthoughtful or, dismissive and things like that, and not respectful, which is not my intention. And then I go, well, what would, and I don't know that it's his reaction, because I know he wouldn't really have a reaction because he's never had a reaction to things, but like, what would the consequences be? What would the fallout be? And I want to avoid that conflict and tension. And being afraid is the best way that I can phrase that. I've kind of bounced this around in my head for the last couple of days, is like, you know, when it came to my mother and my hair, it wasn't that I was afraid. I just didn't want to have the argument. I just didn't want to have to justify what I choose to do. I could shave it all off if I really wanted to. Not that I want to, but I could. But I was like, why do I have to have the argument? It's just easier if I wear a beanie. But then I'm like, well, that's not who I am in this moment. It's very confusing. Like, I feel like I'm stuck between one and the other. And I'm really interested in hearing other people's perspectives. Like, if for someone who's been had this as their identity for longer than me and more experienced in these things, does this sort of thing ever go away? Do you ever feel like, zero fucks given, I'm just going to go and walk down the street and be me? And if I want to wear, bright pink shirt, bright purple pants, black boots, and have my hair shaved off and covered with tattoos, do you even think twice about doing that? To me, that seems very extreme and extravagant, and like, that is not what I would do. But there are other ways I express myself, and it's kind of like, does that stop me still being truly authentic in this journey, which is what this is about? Is like, I'm trying to figure out who I authentically am, and I feel like I'm, living my authentic life more closely than I ever have at any point in my previous, 49 and 3/4 years, because I'm still hanging on that 4 number. But is it stopping me truly embracing who I am? Do I not have experiences like Sharon and I have talked about? Well, do we, and I've mentioned on the podcast, do we need more gay friends? Should we attend more gay events? Should we be more in the community? And we're like, well, to be honest, we just like being at home, and we like doing our own thing, and that's who we are. So do we get out of that comfort zone and force things just because, we need to be exposed to the wider community? I don't know. I don't know what's right. I just know what's right for us and what feels good at the time. And it kind of is that confusing space. Like, even in my professional life, like, there are people who know and there are people who don't. And, maybe I've spent my whole life worrying too much about what people think and expect and want. And maybe that's what got me in this whole mess to start with, that I didn't claim my identity until I was much older, because I had to break free of some of that. And even like Sharon and I talking about going back to visit the hometown where I grew up, so she can see things I did and places I hung out, and go and visit my grandparents' graves and give that a tidy up and all this sort of stuff. But then there's part of me that's like, oh, I went through a lot of shit in that town with, people, having digs and having cracks. Like, do I really want to walk down the main street of that town again? Like, and these are not people who are in my life day to day. There's probably literally 3 people I'm still in contact with in that town. So, I gather, people, I've been a topic of conversation when I first came out, and cool, whatever. But like, these people I have no contact with, they don't matter to me. They're not in my circle. So why do I care? And I can't figure out, is it just because of historical stuff? Is it like, I'm not embarrassed by who I am? Like, I'm proud of the strength that it took for me to make the changes in my life. But then, navigating this space and trying to find like my authentic identity. And I guess I keep trying to reconcile it with the other 46 years of life I lived as Lisa 1.0. And now I'm like Lisa 2.0 with rainbows. So where they marry up, I feel like I'm me and I'm good at being authentic and I'm good at being real. But then I still have these things that just give me that little pause for a moment, and uncomfortable feeling inside. Like, I was like, oh, well, how do I navigate that? Like, and not for 1 second do I want, to go out there and have Sharon feel like I'm reluctant to, hold her hand down the street or be with her or proud to be with her, because I absolutely a gazillion, trillion, billion percent am beyond proud to call her my wife and to be her wife. And, we are amazing together, and, we do good things together. And she has been such a positive influence on my life. So that's not it. Like, that's not it. But there's just that nagging, like, what if? And when I look at it logically, and not with my lizard brain, but with like logic and reasoning, and what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Someone's going to go past and scrunch up their face as they walk past. Well, big deal. Or they're going to say something. Well, big deal. Does that change how I live my life? And the fact that they're still stuck in, the 1990 version of me? Cool, but, most of us have grown and evolved, and I just need to go on and maybe look at them with compassion and realize that they haven't evolved and grown in their own, excuse me, that, mine's still a focus. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the way to approach it. I really honestly don't know. And like, there's, still things that the stereotypes and and I talked on an episode on labels, but those sort of things that just pop their head up every so often when you think you're just like cruising along. Yeah, I've got this, living my best life, and then bam, something will just give you that gut check, and you kind of like, oh, where's this coming from? What's this connected to? So that's my ramble for this week, episode 6. It is just a short one. I don't want to just talk for half an hour to fill in space. That's not what I'm about. This was something that was on my mind. Thought I'd put it out there. If anyone has any comments, like, shoot me a comment, shoot me a DM. Some people have asked how to chat. And if you get me on Instagram at Big Gay Overalls Podcast, or the same tag on Threads as well. I kind of like hanging out on Threads. It's a lot less, I don't know. I just like it. But, you can ping me there. But I'm really interested in, does this ever go away? How do you manage it? What are some thoughts around it that maybe I could reframe my thinking, or maybe some questions I can ask myself? I'm not the font of all knowledge. I'm just sort of trying to navigate my way through just some things that popped through this week. So I thought I'd throw it out there to the universe and see what comes back. So probably back to a more regular episode next week. I know I've got a couple of people who've reached out to be guests. Please give me a like or a subscribe or a follow on whatever your favorite platform is. It truly means the world to me. Like I said, I'm not promoting anything. I'm not pushing this for anything, but I think the more of us that can tell our stories and be open and honest and vulnerable, then I think that just helps everybody, and particularly people who might be just starting the process or not sure, even like if they can see that someone else has walked the path and they're doing okay, then that's a powerful tool. So happy to engage and chat with anybody. But yeah, if there's anything that you want to get my thoughts on, as well as a suggestion for a topic each week, or ask me a question, I'm absolutely happy to do that. And we will have some guests upcoming as well, because I'm really keen. I cannot speak today. I am really keen to dig into some other people's stories as well, and learn some stuff for myself as well about how they've navigated their story. All right, team. I don't know why I call you team. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next.